back, everyone. We're back with the 280Z build. Today we'll be jumping into taking off everything else on the engine bay. We still got a lot to do there. I'm going to start with taking off the front bumper and grill and all that stuff. We'll probably jump on the fenders after that, get those out of the way, and then we can climb in the bay and get all of this stuff out of there and out of the way so we know exactly what we're dealing with as far as the engine bay goes, any rust or anything. So a couple of my screws for this grill are pretty rusted on. It's a bit hard to see right now, but this one here, I was able to get on with some needle nose vice grips. Got it to turn. But we got one over here that I'm not sure I'm gonna have as much luck with, but let's try it. Oop, it moved a little bit. We wiggle it back and forth, should break up that rust, and I think we might be able to get it. And all this stuff on this car is, 45-ish years old, so it's not surprised that some of the hardware does not want to come off. These headlight buckets are a bit tough to get off. They get two screws right here, 10mm, but you also have to go in the wheel well, pop out your fender liner, which isn't too bad. It's just a few 10mm bolts, but you've also got these little studs on the back with 8mm nuts on them. There's 3 of them. What is there? One down there. So mine are a bit rusty. I sprayed them with some PB. Just to break up the rust, let them sit for a minute, and then the nuts are coming right off. Then your headlight bucket should pop right off. These inner fenders are not supposed to be two-piece. These headlights just pop out, take off this chrome ring right here, just put the screws on it. Looks like there's must be a turn signal in the front, and this was not even hooked up. I didn't realize this. I figured this was a whole glass bulb, but it's just glass housing and it has a traditional bulb in it. I'm planning on putting LED headlights on it, but I'm wondering, these things look like they're in good shape. Maybe I can just put some LED bulbs in it and run that. We're going to pop these headlight mounts off. You have to disconnect your power wire all the way inside the engine bay here. Connect to the main harness inside the engine bay. On the back side, it's supposed to be, it looks like 8mm nuts. One of these, somebody's replaced with a screw, so I got a Phillips screw on one. Alright, I believe it's time to pop the fenders off. Before you do that, you do have to take this cowl piece off. It's just 4 screws that hold it right along here, and then it pops right out. There's tabs in the back. I had already popped this off to look underneath, see if I could see where water was getting into the interior on the first video. So that just pops off. We got some screws along here to pop the fender off, some along here, and then some right here. And I think that is it, and the fender should come off. Alright, those Phillips screws up on the fender, up on top, they do not want to come off. Phillips bits, or Phillips head screws, like to strip. That's by design. So this, I have a tool to help with that. This is an impact driver. You can put your Phillips bit on here, or you can use, you know, a regular head screw, something like that. And then you smack this end with a big hammer. And when it presses in, it also twists at the same time. So as long as you've got something solid that it's mounted to, this helps a lot with breaking it free. And then you can just use your screwdriver to pop it the rest of the way out. You hold pressure down on it, and then smack it with your hammer. Well, we got that one free. It's not coming out good though. Got lucky with that one. The other one did not seem like it wanted to move. You can also smack the head of your regular screwdriver while putting some twisting force on it if you don't have that impact driver. I'm not having any luck with the Phillips bit. It's not moving. It still just wants to strip. So I'm going to cut a slot in it with my die grinder or my cutoff wheel and see if I can get it with a regular bit.
A few moments later.
Alright, I finally was able to break the screw free. What I ended up having to do is I sprayed some PB underneath here. Stuck the hose in underneath, sprayed it in, got it on there, let it sit for a few minutes, and then took my torch and I was able to stick it down in here like this. You could feel the nut on the back side, heated it for quite a bit. Used my screwdriver, and these snap-on ones are excellent, snap-on screwdrivers, because they have this hex head right here and you can put your wrench on and really get some force. And doing that, heating it a couple times, I was able to break it free. So now it's coming out, and I'm not, hopefully, as long as I don't break it, shouldn't have to worry about drilling this out and replacing that nut on the back side, which, it's not impossible to do, just get a nut sir, but still, this is, and since I got it free, it's a lot easier. And you can see right here where I cut a slot in it with my die grinder to use a, flat blade screwdriver, because you can get a lot more force behind those flat blades. The Phillips bits are designed to slip after a certain torque so that you don't strip the head or break the head of the bolt off. Now I believe we should be all set. Just take these bolts out here, and I think the fender will come right off. These ones should all be a lot easier to get off because they're hex head bolts, not Phillips head. Okay, one thing I want to show you. This bolt right here is being a little tough to get out. So I could probably just wind it out and it'll be fine. But one thing I've learned after working on rusty vehicles for the last 15 years, 20 years, whatever, however long it's been, is what you want to do is once you get it broke free, it'll start to bind up after a bit. When it starts to bind up, if you keep going, you can break it off. But what you do is you go until it's binding up, put your ratchet the other way, go back a little bit, tighten it in a little bit. And what that does is break free on the back side all of the loose rust that is built up in the threads. And then you can go a little bit more, wait till it starts to bind up again, tighten it down a little bit, loosen it up. So it starts to bind up again, tighten it up a little bit, and then you just keep doing that, and eventually you'll get your bolt out. Because like I said, what usually happens is all that rust that's breaking free from you loosening the bolt up builds up on the threads, and then when it builds up on the threads, the bolt tightens right up, and then eventually, if you keep forcing it, you're just going to break the bolt head off. See, I'm almost got the bolt out now, and it just bound up as I got right to the end of the threads, even though it was going pretty good before that. And if you're lucky, you get your bolt out. Threads are good. Didn't take off the threads in the welded on nut. Should be all set. Unfortunately, the threads on this bolt are stripped. Whoever put it in must have tightened it down extra hard and stripped the threads because it's just spinning. The nuts served on that's welded to the frame is not spinning. Just the bolt is spinning inside that welded on nut. So there's nothing I can do about this one. So I just found one more bolt. You gotta open up your door. Right in behind here, there's one more bolt that has to come out. I forgot to mention it before. There's two bolts on the bottom of the fender, right on the rocker, right on the pinch weld. And I had gotten them all loose when it was still on the ground before I put it up on the quick jack, just because I didn't want to have to mess with it when it was the quick jacks were right up against the pinch weld. Fender comes right off. One thing I don't like is this tube right here. This is the drain for the cowl. Rain and everything goes right in here. And instead of just sitting there, they, you know, put a drain over here to get it to drain out, which is obviously smart, but it just dumps out and sits right on that inside or the back side of that fender, and that's just gonna rot that right out. I don't know if maybe I'll come up with something to, instead of having it just drop here, I can drain it out, you know, put a hose on here and have it go and drain out over here. We'll see when I get to that point, but that's not a good design to me. All right, now that we got that stuff all out of the way, got the fenders and the bumper and all that stuff, gives us a lot more room to start clearing all this stuff out. I think get the wiring harness out, get all this stuff back here, the brake master, the heat shield, you know, all the wiring harness over here, the brake lines, all that stuff, and we'll get a nice clean engine bay and check out any rust. So I just noticed something. This thing's kind of cool. There's a missing bulb here, but this is actually a underhood light. I think this probably, yeah, it's retractable, kind of. It's just got a coil wire in there. So you can take this and shine it around your engine bay if you need to work on it, you know, at night on the side of the road or something. And it's got a little switch right here. It's kind of interesting. So I got the brake master cylinder and the brake booster right over here. I'm gonna get the clutch master right here off. These mount, the brake master and the clutch master mount underneath the dash. I got those out when I took the interior apart, so I just gotta pop the line off of here. It was the same situation with the brake master and the brake booster. They just have 3 through bolts or studs that go through the firewall and bolt to the inside. Not sure what these are, but if anybody knows, let me know. They're mounted to the firewall over here. Are part of the main engine harness. They're part of the harness that goes through the firewall here. Goes right into the ECU. So it's something engine underneath. Here we go. We got this huge engine harness out. That takes up a lot of room in the bay, especially this big relay box, I think here. It's mounted on the passenger side there. It's got a bunch of relays in there. And I'm assuming these are probably fuses. But anyways, most likely will not need any of this anymore. From where?
The store.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Bye.
I love you.
Yep.
You want to say hi to YouTube?
Wait, where is it showing?
Right here. It's pointed at me.
Huh?
It's pointed at me.
Okay. So how do I say hi?
Stick your head right in, just say hi.
Hi.
Alright, I got the fuel and brake lines out all the way to the back. They, ran down the frame rail here to go to the front, across the firewall, and down the back to the fuel tank and the rear brakes. I didn't bother filming that because it's mostly underneath and it just doesn't look good. But I ended up cutting them. I was trying to take them all apart, but then I realized there was just too much of a pain when I know I'm never going to use them. I'm not going to, run 20, 30, 45-year-old brake lines and fuel lines. So I ended up just cutting them back there. Everything above the rear axle is still in place, but they go all up and around. It'll be a lot easier once I just take the rear end out. So we're pretty much done with the engine bay. Just got a couple miscellaneous things left, and then we'll be done. Alright, last thing I think we're going to do for the day is pop off the wiper arms, or the wiper. I got the wiper motor out, but the wiper transmission and these little squirters for the wipers. Well, the engine bay is essentially empty now. I still got, this little miscellaneous stuff on here, these clips, these brackets, which I'll end up cutting out most likely. I did pick up a spot weld cutter, so I can get these off without too much trouble, hopefully. The battery tray back here, which I didn't end up getting out today. We'll probably do that next time, I take all this other stuff out of the engine bay. But it doesn't look too bad. It's kind of hard to see in there, but I don't see, no holes except for right here, which is kind of odd, but that looks like why I know what it's from is the battery being kind of loose and vibrating, and you can see a line all the way along there, but that battery ended up wearing a hole in the firewall there, so that's an easy patch. So But again, nothing looks soft under there. Down here, you can see some evidence of rust, but it's all solid. So I think we can just clean that up and we'll be all set. But that'll do it for today. Hopefully you find some of this stuff interesting. This is the important step, getting the car all blown apart so you know exactly what you're working with. Now that the engine bay is basically essentially empty, the interior, we still got a tiny bit left in here. I got the e-brake. Got some stuff under the dash that I didn't bother pulling out before. The headliner is still in the rearview mirror and stuff. I think I had to take that sunroof out, possibly, to get the headliner out. I'm not sure, but either way, it's coming out. Taillights are still in it. Obviously the door and stuff inside the doors is still there. But we're making progress. Soon we should be started with the funner stuff, fabrication, trying out fitting that 280z in here. Hopefully you've enjoyed this so far, and we'll see you in the next video.